Welcome back for another episode of What Drives Her, the podcast from A Girl's Guide to Cars. I'm Natalie Marola, your host today. Scotty Reese is actually out on a first drive. Very exciting. Stay tuned on A Girl's Guide to Cars YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there. Also subscribe to our podcast anywhere that you listen, whether that's on Spotify or YouTube. Check us out and follow us on social media. Let's welcome our guest, Rachel. How are you doing, Rachel?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Disability Pride Month.
Pleasure, and thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I would love to dive in. I want to give everyone a little bit of a background. Rachel has been one of my besties on IG for a while. We've been chatting and, just really talking about everything that's going on, with fan inclusion in motorsports. And it's been such like a dream come true to actually get to chat with you on the podcast. So I'm really excited for you to share your story. But enough about me. Let's talk about you, Rachel. Let's introduce what you're doing. And yeah.
I think it's been a few years now that we've known each other, hasn't it? Yeah. So it is. It's really exciting for me too. So my name's Rachel. I'm the founder of Accessible Racing Life. I was born with a rare disease and I've lived with that my whole life. So I've been battling, barriers as part of my disability. And I decided there was no place, no social gatherings, no groups, nothing like that really had information, that had a community where we could share our stories. So I created Accessible Racing Life in the hopes of raising awareness, of getting people to share their own stories, to really come together and just show the motorsporting world that it doesn't matter, what your limitations are. You can do anything. So yeah, that's really what it's all about. That's where it came from. Having attended a few Grand Prix now myself, there are services available, but I've just found that so many people don't know where to look for that information. So having it all in this one central place has really been amazing.
You definitely have done a lot of research, and I love your deep dives. Like, they're very informative because I have never seen that. When I go, to a racetrack and I'm looking, and even just general information, they can all improve on a lot of things there. So yeah, it's great when you're doing those videos and posting the content. I learn a lot too, and I think that's important for people to share, wherever we are, whether we're an ally or have a disability. It's important to know this information so we can help each other out.
Absolutely. And like you say, even though there is information online, some of it can be very limited and some of it can be outdated. Websites don't get updated, right. Or a circuit does a whole redo, they revamp everything and then it's different. So yeah, just having people giving their information, sharing that information, it blows my mind too sometimes, just how far we've come in almost 4 years.
No, it's been a long time, but it's been so needed. So I'm so glad you're still in the space. And, I always wondered though, how did you get into motorsports? I know that, we all have different stories.
Yep. So living with a rare disease, it is quite painful. So I'm in chronic pain 24/7. Being a young girl, I was awake at all hours of the night. I'd be awake when my dad was watching TV, and in the early hours of the morning in Australia, there's not really much on but Formula One highlights and trashy infomercials. So yeah, it was Formula One and motorsport in general. And I just, I needed that escape. It was something different, something to take my mind off everything that I was going through. And yeah, it stuck for some reason. It's having a disability, you live, well, I do anyway. It's a very slow, way of living. So to have something that's the opposite of that, it's so exciting. Yeah, that's my story.
That's cool. I know that we're thinking of what's on TV at that hour.
Yeah.
It's always the infomercials, and then I love that you have Formula One. I
mean, exactly.
It's good therapy in a way. I mean, you get that instant gratification of watching them cross the finish line. What's your favorite racer?
Color signs. For those who don't know, though, I'm pretty sure everyone knows it's color signs. So. Yes, I've been following color signs since the Toro Rosso days. So Yeah. It's been 32 years now since I started watching Formula One. So I've had, a few faves, but Carlos is the one who's really stuck with me. So
I love that. I actually have a photo of Carlos on the grid from Austin, my first Grand Prix, and I have him in the Toro Rosso. So I was like, oh, there it is.
nice.
I'll send it
You
to
have
you.
to send me that. Yeah.
Yeah. What does Carlos do to help fans? Because I know that you like to highlight Carlos too.
I think that for the handful of times that I have seen Carlos, he's very calm. He's very polite. He has a lot of patience. The first time I met him, I was an absolute mess. And like, we do have a small little area for people with disabilities. And I think 9 times out of 10, some of the drivers don't understand that that's what that's for. Like Melbourne Walk is massive, and you have all these people screaming and like hanging over railings. And then you've got, us, and we're kind of like, oh, I can't get up, I can't move. But yeah, he was fabulous. And he was so, like, he just held eye contact with me, and, he talked me through the moment, and he just, like, it really stuck with me. You hear so many stories, you know, PR and all that sort of stuff, and, what's in the news and what other people think. But yeah, he's just a really genuine soul. So I think, and like a lot, we don't get a lot of that,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, some of the drivers will just walk past us, or they're like, too busy, or, we, people with disabilities don't tend to fit what society considers, like a normal fan, right? So it's not sort of the image that some drivers want for themselves. But yeah, he's always been really generous with me, and I love that. So
See, that warms my heart. I'm like, yes, everyone has a place on the grid, and I really love that you've made that space like known. Like,
absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
like what inspired you, like the moment that made you want to launch your consultancy and helping people advocacy in the community? Because I know that
Yep.
there must have been something to overcome, and I really want to hear about that.
There was. So I think it was 2021, the Australian Grand Prix. To put it mildly, it was a shit show.
Oh no.
My son and I, so we essentially took a tram from the circuit to get back to our hotel, and the tram ended early. And we got off the tram, and the person working there, like, we said, oh, how can we like find, I've got a disability, how can we find a way to get from like here back and she just turned around and she said walk. And I was like, I beg your pardon? She's like, walk. And obviously I'm not super slim, so she probably thought, oh, she could do with a few
Oh,
Ks. Anyway, it
that's
ended up
weird.
being something like a 4K walk back to our hotel. It probably took us 2 hours.
Oh
Yeah, it
no.
was horrible. And then like the services at the track the following day after all of that walking were just not adequate enough. Like I said, they were there, but you didn't know about them. They weren't in your face like everything else is for able-bodied people.
Right.
So for me, it was just one of those things. I just said, not good enough. Let's make it good enough. So, yeah.
I love that you took a stand on that because I feel like there should be adaptations and, more mobility options for people because, tracks are big. I mean,
They
I
are.
walked the wrong way on a track one time and that was not fun. I can't even imagine, that's a lot.
It is. It is. And sometimes able-bodied people take things for granted, right? Like just being able to walk the
Right.
circuit. Like I walk a few hundred meters, and I left the Grand Prix this year in a wheelchair. It was
Mhm.
so taxing on my body. Just, I planned for that. So I had a rest day on the Friday,
Right.
because we did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
Ooh.
Friday was my rest day. And, even by the Sunday, it was so much. It is a lot. So I think that's what people don't understand, right? If you don't have a disability or you don't know somebody who does, if you're not affected by that,
Right.
it doesn't really register. You just think, oh, I'll get up and I'll walk the track, or I'll be in front of the podium when the race ends. But for people like me, that's near impossible.
Definitely like overcoming those obstacles like in just real life, but you know, how do you feel like things have changed in the better direction for motorsports, and, and what else you would like to see?
There's definitely a lot more people willing to listen now. When I first started, it was just a non-issue. It's like
Yeah.
tick and flick and next and that sort of thing. But now, like this is, so I've consulted with 2 Grand Prix organizations, and I've got another 2 who have recently come on board, which is amazing. So yeah, I think a lot of the ego has gone out of it, because you have to recognize that Formula One has one of the most diverse fan bases across the globe. Like it's women are getting more into sport, and people with disabilities, and, people of color, and so many different minorities. And it's amazing, honestly, just to see how many fans there are. And with that, you sort of have to change with the times. So, yeah, it is getting easier. There are still a lot of people that I would love to work with. But, yeah, that's the thing about inclusion and accessibility. You just have to chip away at it. You can't expect the big things to come straight away, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes it just takes time.
Sometimes where you're coming up with these, ideas for like talking to the different Grand Prix, like, how do you prioritize that checklist? Because I know, like you said, there's so many things. Like, how do you pick which one gets, priority?
So I do a lot of surveys on my page, because the best way to get that information is from the people who experience it. Right. So first and foremost for me, that's a really big part of it. I want to be a voice for everyone, not just my voice. But I think, like, we talk about physical disabilities, but we also have hidden disabilities, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. You can see a physical disability, so it's quite easy to say, well, we might need a ramp there, or like Australia this year was a great example. We had spoken about putting an elevator in, because crossing the track, there was no way that you could do it if you were somebody with a disability. Right. So that was put in place. But then you've got people with hidden disabilities, and you would not believe me if I told you how few circuits have like a quiet space for people who, get overwhelmed, or right. people who have ADHD or autism or whatever it might be. During my consultancy, when I asked that question, they were like, oh, that's not really something that we had even considered. So yeah, I think first and foremost, you have to get the big pieces out of the way so that the majority of your community is happy. And then that's when you chip away at putting the little bits and pieces in place. I think staff training is another big thing that we really need to look at, because I've had so many people say to me, well, I went and asked this person and that person didn't have a clue. And then you go back to the website and the website says, staff will be able to help you, but obviously they can't. So
yeah, then you're trying to scramble to find the resources on site, and that can take a lot of time away from having fun and watching the actual race, so
yeah,
that could be frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth it. It's worth the effort. But like you say, if we have it all there already, it's just those little bits and pieces that we then need to add in, and they will come with time. So
every time I open up your page, I see something new or exciting, and like we've talked about, just coming up with different content to raise awareness. I would really like to talk about your journey creating the content, and going through the day-to-day, like how have you overcome those challenges and getting the message out there?
For me, I always wanted to stay authentic with my content. A lot of content creators, they put a lot of effort into editing, they put a lot of effort into their image and that type of thing. But for me, this is the reality of living with a rare disease. This is the reality of having a disability. So for me, I don't have the luxury of being able to sit down and edit my videos. I put all of my spoons. Do you know about spoon theory?
No.
So spoon theory is sort of like you have so many spoons and you spread your energy out over those. And once your spoons are gone, no spoons left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put all of my energy essentially into doing my content. And, like sometimes it will take me 2 hours, sometimes it will take me half an hour. But to me, it's just the message. And I've just kept doing it and doing it. And you and I've spoken about this before. It's a tough gig. It's not easy at all. So yeah, just having so many amazing people like yourself too behind me and encouraging me, like that. It's been amazing. Like you don't understand it. It really, and then like so many people messaging me and saying, don't stop, don't give up, don't listen to what people say. Yeah, it's really encouraging.
And I know it's a grind doing social, so that's why I've always been like, just keep going, you got this. I go through the same things too. It's like, like creating content, you're like, what do I create today? Like the message is
Yeah.
always the same, but in your heart's in it. But then sometimes something that you put so little effort in does way better than the thing where you actually had your heartfelt message and you're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a balance, isn't it? Like you have to get the educational stuff and you want to get the educational stuff out there. But then, it's like you post a 5-second reel with like color signs on it and it gets 6,000 likes. So
Like, thank you, Carlos.
thanks, Carlos.
Oh my gosh.
We should tag him.
Right? Carlos, help, please.
It's a journey like anything, I suppose. And yeah, I'm just sticking with it. This is me. What you see is what you get. So, and I think that's also, people need to see that reality because, like I said earlier, people who don't live with it don't understand it. So,
Exactly. And that's why I love how you show up because you speak from the heart. You're sharing your story and you're getting other people to feel, more comfortable to share their stories, to show up to the track. And,
yeah,
someone might not feel comfortable and then they see you like posting, they're, oh, wow, like, okay, cool. Like, let's meet up. Or I'm going to go to the track because you shared this information. Have you had any of those interactions on social?
I have had so many of those. I had like a handful of people, followers this year that I met in Melbourne, and that was amazing. And they were like, "I'm here. I've met you." It's like, but I'm just me,
Yeah.
But even just people across the world messaging me and saying, if it wasn't for you, then I wouldn't even, my anxiety would have held me back. But now that I see that you can do it and that you've shown us that, that we can do it, then I'm going to do it. And just like people with disabilities are the most underrepresented minority, like
Oh, yeah.
by quite a lot. And for people to see themselves reflected in me, that's really my true mission. We need that visibility. So, I am very camera shy. I don't like taking photos. Like some of my content is dodgy because I'm just like, oh, get it over and done with. But yeah, I want people to see that and I want them to recognize themselves in that. So that's important.
I love that you show up because it's just that consistency and bringing that vibrancy to the community of like, yes, you can. I'm here, you're here. Show up to the track. I love that you have friends now, like, essentially, that you would have
Exactly.
never have met before.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and it's just seeing the smiles on their faces, that makes it all worth it. Or like hearing the stories, that there was a mum who messaged me earlier this year and she said, my daughter had the confidence to do this because of everything that you post. And I was just like, it melts my heart. It's
Yeah.
just, and she's also a Carlos fan, so that was amazing.
Everyone rallied together.
Yeah.
And as a mom, it's like that really touches your heart.
It's having a disability, it shouldn't stop you. So
Right.
So that's the other thing. I guess, some people look at it and they say, oh, well, if it's that bad, why do you even bother going? Because we love it, because we love motorsport. We love Formula One. I shouldn't have to convalesce in my bed just because, somebody else is making it too hard for me.
Exactly. And I remember we talked about this too, where I was so annoyed because I see this in the comments sometimes, or, oh, people get special treatment. And I'm like, don't you start with that.
Uh-huh.
Like, what would you suggest to those people, the naysayers that don't understand, or like I know we've talked about this before, But I'll give you the
Mhm.
floor on that.
Disability is definitely not a trend. And that is a line that I will not cross. That is something that
Yeah.
I, am very outspoken on. It's probably even an unpopular opinion. We don't ask for special treatment, but there
Yeah.
has been lately, more and more of this. I have a disability, or, my child has a disability, and that does not entitle you to, paddock passes or meet and greets with drivers. It doesn't entitle you to anything. It's nice. It's nice that teams want to do that, but
Right.
going out of your way to ask for that,
It's
no.
different.
Instead, you should be asking for, I couldn't see Lando because there was no access, to this point for me to be able to see Lando. What can you do to help me with that access? Instead of, I didn't get to meet Lando, I want to meet Lando. That's not how that works, That's giving other people with disabilities a bad name, because you say people look at that and they think, oh, special treatment. It's not about special treatment at all. If you drove down to your local shopping centre and there were half a dozen cars in the middle of the road and you couldn't
Right.
get around those cars to get to the shopping centre, what are you going to do? You're going to get out of your car, ask someone in their car to move so that you can get. It's as simple as that, right? It's barriers. We just want to remove those barriers to make it easier for us. It's not, definitely not special treatment. It's a human condition, it's what we deserve. So yeah.
Exactly. And taking that ableist language out on their end, and just re-educating, because sometimes people are unaware, and then having the understanding, they're like, oh, that there have to be some, adaptations to the track,
Yeah.
like, because there might be, like you said, visibility, or, maybe they can't use their wheelchair on a certain part of the grass. Why would you ask somebody to, like, make it easy for them,
Yeah.
give them the same playing field here, you want to make sure that everyone has that experience. It's just a basic human thing, and no one's asking for anything ridiculous here. So I love that
Absolutely.
you
And
took.
I mean, when you go to work and you show up to work on Monday morning, you want to do your job right first time every time, right? So that then
Yeah.
you don't have rework after that, and it's not continuing to go on and on. It's the same sort of principle. If we put these things in place in the first place, then we don't have to worry about it later. So yeah.
Exactly. It'd save a lot of time and energy here.
Absolutely.
Consult with
And
someone like you. Yeah.
exactly. But a lot of them don't cost a lot. And that's the thing, Formula One and motorsport organizers, they don't see the value in it because it's like, oh, well, we have to invest to get this out of it. But, it's very, very minimal a lot of the time. And it's actually better value because then you're putting more bums on seats, right?
What are some things that you've consulted on that you said, hey, like, this is the cost or the value of this? Like, what have you, like, shown them those cost comparisons?
Absolutely. And the one time that so the question was, have you considered a quiet space for people with hidden disabilities? And they're like, no, we've not considered that before, because the only quiet space that they did have was on the opposite side of the circuit where hospitality was. So, it didn't cost them anything in the long run, because then they found a space that was outside hospitality, for the sake of 3 days across the weekend to hire a small setup. The price was just, yeah, it was worth it. And in the end, we had so many people come through who actually needed that. And the feedback that they got then was, well, it's obviously worth it. So, yeah.
So I love that they listened. That's very important too, is to have someone that's receptive to that too.
So important, and the other thing is, it's not just a monetary cost, it's a reputational cost too.
Yes.
So, that's probably, I've had more positivity in terms of the reputational consequences as opposed to the financial.
Now, for someone that's curious or that watches your channel that may not message you, or is curious but watching, what advice would you give them on their disability journey, and how to approach that, and reaching out to different tracks for assistance?
Yep. Don't be afraid. The worst that they can do is say no. And even if they say no, you still have room to negotiate. Part of having a disability is that there's also personal responsibility. So, yes, circuits have, a responsibility to support you, but they don't have 100% of that responsibility. You still have a personal responsibility. So, I see a lot of people who purchase an accessible ticket a week before the race happens. They show up at the circuit, they don't know what's going on, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's no space for me here. So, I've got to complain about that so that there's a space next time. When it comes to like 12 months before a Grand Prix happens, I'm planning, I'm looking at the
Yeah.
circuit map, I'm looking at what the accessible spaces are, I'm emailing them, and I'm making sure that I get, clarity on what I need to do. I'm mapping out a route for where I need to go. There's still that personal responsibility. So you know, while the accessible services are great and we really do need them, there's also, you have to balance it with, you can't just show up on the day and expect to be, you know, to be given everything that you think you need.
That makes sense. You have to have a plan no matter what, to
Yep,
make things run smoothly.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. But yeah, don't be afraid, email and call and keep doing that because feedback is what they need. They can't help you if they don't know what's going on. There are a lot of groups around where people are, like, this is my experience and this is what's happened, but they just sort of, it's just like a congregation of people complaining about it, right? They don't actually then take the next steps
yep.
to do what they need to do. And I think there's also a difference between complaining about it and actively pursuing accessibility needs. So that's, again, you have to find that balance. So,
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah.
But for allies too, what advice would you give us, to help, to have more awareness and, like I know we've talked about different things that I have in my purse versus what you have in your purse and to
Yeah.
have those like tools, like, almost like a utility belt. How do we help
Yeah.
each other?
Yeah. I mean, follow Accessible Racing Life if you can, please. That would be amazing. But just like you said earlier, be willing to listen, be willing to learn, be willing to take it in, and don't assume anything. I get so many comments from people saying, oh, but why are you saying that? And then when you reply to them and say, this is why, and give them an explanation, most of them, I would say 90% of them are like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for explaining that. So, yeah, it's like a day for me compared to a day for you, like we've spoken about. It's totally different. And you just have to be willing to accept that there are going to be those differences.
Right.
Um, yeah, just have an open mind, really. It's that much easier if you just accept that everyone's different, honestly.
Everyone has different needs, and that I think that's the most important thing, like highlighting for like Disability Pride Month too. It's like we all have needs, communicate, ask questions, ask for permission, like, to help too. I know that's big,
Yep,
so
absolutely.
have a conversation. I think that's important as humans. I feel like we don't do it enough.
Exactly. And I mean, don't be afraid that you're overstepping. Most people will appreciate that you're willing to ask in the first place, as opposed to, something happens and then people, they just walk past and, they don't want to look at you. They don't want to stop. They don't want to help. And it's like 2 seconds out of your day. That's all
Right.
it takes.
What does Disability Pride mean for you, like for this month?
Oh,
It's a
it
heavy
means it is. It means so many different things. Look, we don't, as people with disabilities, we don't get celebrated enough. We don't celebrate our successes enough. Um, I look at the Olympic Games, for example, we celebrate our Olympic champions so much and we celebrate our Paralympians too, but not to the same extent, right? So for me, this is all about celebrating people with disabilities. It's all about saying we are here and we might be different, but we can still do what you can do. It's about connecting with our allies. It's about, putting plans in place moving forward for our future, for future generations. It's really about building people up and, being proud of who you are and what you have achieved. If you got out of bed in the morning That's huge.
Yeah.
If you've showered and managed to survive the day, sometimes just surviving
Right.
is an achievement in itself. And I think that is not celebrated enough, especially in motorsport. There's this new campaign that Lando is putting out for his, what is it? Champion collective or whatever it is, and so many people putting videos forward and stuff like that. I have not to date seen a Formula One I have seen a motorsport, don't lie, because Formula E Nissan, they have done some amazing things with people with disabilities. But, Formula One, there has never been a campaign with either a person with a physical or a hidden disability. And now I know you'll say hidden disabilities are hidden, but there are still people, who wear sunflower lanyards, and we need to show that, right? If people do have hidden disabilities, we need to, they should be able to proudly wear their lanyards and show that that's who they are. But there's none of that. So I would love that going forward. That would be amazing.
Oh wow. You see, F1, if you're listening, please reach out to Rachel. Like, we need to make this happen. That would be really cool.
Absolutely. Yep, I'm all for it.
I know, like for me, like, it's been exciting to ask you because I'm always so curious about what you do. Always sharing different content and stories, very informative. What are some things that you are like going forward, like to grow what you're doing? What are your
Yep.
like future plans?
So at the moment, I'm actually working on the Creator Paddock Australia with my co-founder. And we've been working really hard the past few weeks. We've got some amazing people on board to support that. And a huge part of that is obviously going to be about disability, accessibility, and inclusion, because, like we just spoke about, it's not a big part of motorsport at the moment, but a huge part of the fan base are people with disabilities. So for me, that's going to be a big thing going forward, just getting that visibility, getting that out there, hopefully getting more people on board to support that. So that's one big thing. I have a lot of consultancy going on at the moment behind the scenes. And that's the other thing people don't see, because there are NDAs involved and things
Right.
like that. So there's only so much that you can say.
Of course.
But yeah, rest assured, rest assured there is, like, I've been approached by quite a few of the circuits who have been really impressed with my knowledge. So that's amazing being able to work with them. And look, just trying to grow my followers. I still think that, 1,083 followers is amazing. But the more people we have, the bigger platform, the more we can get that story out there. So, yeah, more collaborations. Hopefully we can collaborate.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we have a running list of inspiration. I'm
We
really
do.
excited to do that. Yeah. We definitely have to make more videos, and we'll share on A Girl's Guide to Cars too. So I know that a
Yes.
lot of people will love that. I know that especially for the series this month, connecting everyone in the community, it's really cool. I love seeing people come together. Like, that's one of my favorite
Yeah,
things,
it's
celebrating the human
amazing.
spirit. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And that at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? It doesn't matter
Yeah,
what status, who you are, what you do. We're all human beings and we all deserve respect.
exactly. That's the biggest. And for me, like, this has been, great to learn a lot from different guests and just hearing everyone's stories. And I love
Yeah.
the connective tissue where everyone is just has this sense of like, we're doing this together, finding ways to connect people, that the
Yep.
allies to disabled community, and saying, here's what we can do, and here's what we should say, here's what we should not say, right? And kind of working together, because we don't know what we don't know, and that's why this conversation is really important.
Right? There are so many really big platforms out there. If you have a platform, please reach out to myself or, another content creator who has a disability. It's not that we're desperate. It's not that we need your help to get us across the line. It's the fact that we just want that message to go far and wide. Like, we want so many people to be able to experience it. Like, there's nothing better than motorsport, right? Like, the atmosphere, the friends that you make, the drivers, it's incredible. So, to have as many people as possible get to experience that. Yeah. And especially like for me, my disability, my condition's really dynamic. So it changes week to week. I never know what the future's going to hold for me.
Right.
And there are probably quite a few people out there in the same boat. They don't know what's going to happen. So, you know, getting them hooked up, with a pass to wherever as soon as possible. Just do it. Just go and do it, Don't wait.
And it's so fun to like go and enjoy the race together. I know like I watch it on TV or online, obviously if I can't travel, I would love to stamp
Yep.
my passport.
Same.
Right? But that can come with some challenges for anybody because that's a lot of
Yeah.
traveling in a plane. But what are some of your favorite ways to bring your community together to watch or have watch parties?
I haven't done a watch party yet, to be honest.
Ooh, okay, ideas.
Yeah. I know there are a lot of watch parties around.
Mhm.
Australia, there's and that's partly why we have set up the creator paddock, because there's not, the US and the UK, they have so much more access to those type of things than we do.
Right.
They have the talent, they are close to circuits. We have the Australian Grand Prix, it's at the beginning of the year, and then there's nothing. We have Supercars, which is our local sort of series, which is amazing. And there's going to be more on that this year. I'll be in Ipswich in August for that. So
Hey.
keep watch out for that.
Totally.
But yeah, for me, it's really, because we are all over the place, it's sort of difficult. But yeah, I would love the Australian Grand Prix next year to sort of get like a meet and greet together. So that's probably something on the cards too.
I know, like even locally, there's people that'll meet at different, restaurants or bars or like online.
Yep.
I'll watch with friends, but there's always different ways to watch together. So I'm curious to see how that grows in the future.
Yeah, me too. And see, that's the other thing though. It's hard to get a watch party when sometimes your race is at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
So
The dedication, we do our best.
yeah.
That is true. I know that when they travel around the world, it's like, okay, what time is it for us?
Yeah.
And then what time
The
is it for me?
Australian race probably isn't great for you.
No, I know we like stay up in the middle of the night. We're like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's me like all year.
oh, I know. I know we get all the things, but I would really like to see, more fan parties together and just people. Maybe we can work on that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you are ever at a circuit, if you're ever going to a race, we should FaceTime or something, and just
Oh yeah,
show everybody.
definitely. That's in the cards for the U.S. Grand Prix. I'm like, I really want to go to Coda again. I haven't been
Yep.
there in like 9 years, no, 10 years. So
Oh, wow.
it's
Yep.
it's been very different. It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny. I go through like baby photos with like my son, like because he came with us. And his favorite driver was Daniel Avocado, because and then Hulkenberger, because he was like really
Yeah.
small. Now he knows their names, but
Yeah.
it's like these Grand Prix are more than just a race. It's a great way for us to connect and just to be
Absolutely.
have that happy moment and cheer
Yep.
everyone on.
It is. You connect with your family, don't you? My son's been into cars since he was 18 months old and he's now 19. So it never
Oh,
stops.
right. Does your son go to race with you or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He's been to all of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where the last IndyCar race that we had up here in Queensland
Ooh.
before IndyCar stopped, I went to that. I was about 4 months pregnant.
Oh,
And my dad said the fumes just went in one ear and never came out the other. So,
right.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Motorsports.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's just, he's named after a racing car driver. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
You don't mind me
Yeah.
asking which one?
Marcus Ambrose.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So his middle name is Ambrose.
Aw, that's really cool. Now, Rachel, what is your call to action here? And what do you want people to know about your accessibility consultation? How can they connect with you?
Look, I would love for people to reach out to me so that we can collaborate together. As we spoke about earlier, it's a community. It takes a community. This is not just me. This is my story, and this is my vessel. But if you have a platform, if you have a disability, if you know somebody, if you are affected by disability, please reach out to me. I would love to know your story. I would love to work together just so that we can raise more awareness about that. That would be amazing moving forward, just building really strong relationships and, like yourself, having amazing allies.
Definitely. We want to make sure that everyone can connect and create that sense of community. Now, what is your biggest takeaway for Disability Pride Month? And, what would be your message to everyone out there overcoming those challenges?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having the courage to be yourself, to step out as you are. Thank you for, even though during the hard days, we still keep going. Thank you for persevering. Thank you for supporting me. And thank you for allowing me to be able to support you. It's really, really important that we, make sure we continue to have that representation and that visibility. So, I'm always here. If you need anything, Accessible Racing Life will always be a safe space. Please don't hesitate to contact me.
I love that, Rachel. You're such a big heart. So sweet.
I do.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. If you want to find more about Accessible Racing Life, go ahead and follow in the description. We're going to share more information on Rachel, and be sure to check us out everywhere that you get a podcast and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You too. Have a great night.
Thank you again to our guest, Rachel, with Accessibility Racing Life. If you want to find out more information, go ahead and click the link in our description so you can find out more and how you can consult with her on inclusion at the motorsports and racetrack around the world. I'm Natalie Marola. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Join our newsletter, linked also in the description, and subscribe to our YouTube channel here and our review channel on A Girl's Guide to Cars. Scotty Reese is out this week on a first drive. Very exciting. Stay tuned to our other YouTube channel. But in the meantime, be sure to listen to our other podcasts that we have on our playlist. Thank you so much to our editor, Steph Howard. Music is by Envato. I'm your producer and host for today. My usual co-host is the founder of A Girl's Guide to Cars, Scotty Reese. And we'll see you on the next episode.